Bardown Beauties with Jessi and Kirsten Krull. Two hockey minds trapped in bodies that can't skate. They may have never laced them up, but they'll break it all down with sharp takes and plenty of laughs. This is Hockey Talk, the Beauties way.
Hello, Bardown Beauties. What's up? Jessi, Kirsten Krull back in action after a lovely, much-needed vacation to the Sunshine State in Florida. How was it?
It was a much-needed reset. Now, I wish, the calmness of vacation would have came home with me. It hasn't. But it was nice while it lasted. You know how that goes.
Did you take a hockey break while you were there? Because you were with a friend who I don't know, she's not exactly dialed into hockey, so I imagine it was easy to remove yourself. The Olympics were going on. Did you peek into any of those comings and goings?
My friend isn't dialed in, but she does watch. She will watch Wild games with her parents. Yes, we all sat down and we watched the gold medal game, and it was super fun. Honestly, the most fun hockey game I've probably ever watched. Like, just even to being around everybody and the excitement and pure shock, like it was a lot of fun. But this is also, for those wondering, my friend who who watches hockey but isn't like attuned to all small minute details of hockey that the fandom would be. She is the one sending me Quinn Hughes memes left and right, like videos, and I'm like, where did you learn this?
Just tapped into the Quinn Hughes. It's wild to think it was just a little over a week ago that the women claimed gold, and then literally just a day past a week, 8 days from the men being gold medalists. The schedule has been crazy. Quinn Hughes appears on Saturday Night Live alongside Megan Keller, his brother Jack, and Hillary Knight. They are now, Hillary went on was it Good Morning America today, I think, announced that she played the Olympics through an MCL tear, which is insane. Women do all things incredible, obviously. She's obviously out currently for her PWHL team. Jack and Quinn and Hillary are both going to be on the Tonight Show for Jimmy Fallon. Kirsten, I got to know how you feel about this. I'm a conveyor of fun. I love to have fun. I love to have experiences. And I think SNL, incredible experience. And all of this, media, national media attention, it brought, or what's the word I'm looking for? Mainstream media, right? Focusing on hockey. I love it. But we're in the middle of a season, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the midst of the regular season closing out for both the PWHL and the NHL. How do you feel about the timing? Bill Guerin, we asked him. He's encouraging it. Quinn Hughes. Why am I confusing these two? What is happening to me?
Because we never talk about Jack this much.
We never talk about Jack. I think it's because he won the gold, and so it's just very locked into my brain, right? Quinn Hughes, who plays for the Minnesota Wild, lest us ever forget, he seems tired. We chatted with him post-game yesterday, and he said, I'm not obviously getting the rest that I normally would. And, he feels guilty, according to Bill Guerin, about doing all of this in the middle of the season, but he's going back and forth. Like, he's still here playing the games. I'm very conflicted as to how I feel about it.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I do definitely agree with Bill Guerin, where he was like, these are once in a lifetime opportunities, especially riding off of this moment. I totally get it. And I totally agree. And I'm always the type of person too, that's like, hey, you might not get this opportunity again. Take it while you can. But also too, it's tough where Minnesota is right now, because you had the home game against St. Louis. You get 1 day off. Yeah. Then you're back home again with Tampa. So you're squeezing this all in with a tight timeline. Like, Jack's situation is different because he's in New Jersey. Granted, yes, I know they kind of put him up in the loading dock to get to SNL in time, but yeah, he's living in New Jersey, which is a hop, skip, jump away from New York City. It's not the same with Minnesota. So I think I side a little bit more with let him do this. Like, he's a professional. Yeah. He's still Quinn Hughes at the end of the day. And a tired Quinn Hughes is better than no Quinn Hughes. But man, yeah, I hope this kid just sleeps on Wednesday. Like, no plans.
He deserves it. Well, and that's just it too. I think what helps me be okay with all of it is the Wild are in a really good position standings wise. Like, this isn't, a couple games here or there. And even the last two losses that they've had, okay. Like, I'm not over. There was nothing that was concerning. I thought they played okay against St. Louis, and Utah's a better team than I think most people give them credit for. You take it with a grain of salt. They're still locked into kind of that playoff spot against likely the Dallas Stars. So I'm less worried, about that. I want to see, for me, it's about taking that time management during the games even. Like the NHL is fantastic because it's never been a league where they're going to sit guys and have that time management that way. They're not going to just not play a guy, right? Because he can't go. They're going to play through everything they can, regular season or not. But I think for Quinn, maybe it's not 28 minutes a night. Maybe it's 21 minutes a night, depending on the opponent, right? Like I love all wins. I want to win every single game. And I know that those guys in that locker room do as well. But yeah, maybe just figure out kind of some of that time, because come playoff time, there is no rest. And I will not allow for any of that.
No. And as much as we don't want to admit it, I think it's the elephant in the room. There's an Olympic hangover for everybody. And Minnesota had 8 dang Olympians on that roster. Like there's going to be a little bit of extra fatigue while everyone is getting reacclimated. Like it's just what it is right now. And there's many teams across the league that are dealing with that. I think just Minnesota maybe a little bit more than most with having sent over 8 guys.
Did Brock Faber party the hardest of them all? He and
you know what? No, it shouldn't surprise me, and you know why it shouldn't surprise me. Not for like anything weird. For those of you who are going to take my comment and be like, "Oh, what are you not telling us?" Like nothing like that.
Shout out to the Faber family. We love the Faber parents. We love them. We have bumped into them. They're big fans of the Bardown Beauties. Always been supporters. I have no problem shouting them out. They know how to have a good time.
Out them like that, but yeah, that was exactly like where it was going. Shout out to the Fabers. They're such a fun family. But yeah, I guess that's why I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Parents raised him right.
Was it Renski who had gone on maybe Chicklets or another hockey podcast and had said that him and Fabes were out until like 5 a.m. after that? Like, gosh, to be young again. Oh,
honestly, I've become such a grandma. Get me in bed by 9:30. Like, I'm not even joking. That's where I'm at currently.
Unfortunately for you, the Minnesota Wild play tomorrow night at 8:30. What a segue that is. I joked last night the time I got home from the St. Louis game was the time that the puck would be dropping against the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot of
I need to stop doing that, by the way.
Why?
Stop doing that.
Why?
It makes me angry. Well, I try to not acknowledge. Because if it's not 9 p.m. in my head, it physically doesn't feel like 9 p.m.
I need to do it to remind myself that is happening. Otherwise, I probably would have showed up at 7 o'clock waiting for the puck to drop for an hour and a half. And
then remind yourself and don't publicize it for everybody.
The world needs to know tomorrow or today when you're listening to this against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kirsten, still a ton going on. Now, amongst all this, it is trade deadline week 2, which has my anxiety level even higher than it normally is, which is probably wild to most people. I know, like it's already pretty notched up. We'll get into trade stuff coming up. But Quinn Hughes still crushing it. Kirill Kaprizov ties Marian Gaborik for most goals in franchise history with 219. He did that in 380 games played. Gaborik, it took 567 to tally that franchise record. Kirill, he is closing in on another 40-goal season. Excuse me. He's got 6 goals, 4 assists, and a 7-game point streak. 22 points in his past 13 games. But you know what? I'm going to take him and Hughes a backseat. Why, Kirsten? Because Matthew Boldy, who we have been praising up and down. I go even beyond this season. Kirsten, go back to like when we first had him on the pod a number of years ago. I've been pulling receipts. Like we have been on the Boldy bandwagon. Continues to crush it. He trails only Nathan McKinnon for goals. He's actually tied for second in the league with Cole Caulfield and Connor McDavid, trailing McKinnon by 5. 4-game multi-point streak he had at one point in time. 10-game point streak continues, 8 goals, 11 and assists. I want to take this into consideration, Kirsten. Matt Boldy is better than Austin Matthews. He's better than Jason Robertson. He is better than Kucherov. He is better than Gensel. He is better than... Name the guys that you are normally thinking about as being these prolific scorers. Matt Boldy's scoring at a higher rip than them. Or it's a time to consider, and this is going to be, I'm going to also probably phrase this as a buy or sell idea. Buy or sell, Kirsten, Matt Boldy is an NHL superstar, not just a superstar for the Minnesota Wild.
Buy. I mean, it sold it for me watching him play for Team USA in the Olympics. Granted, not a little different, but just even on a global stage, like the man just rises to the occasion. Matthew Edward Boldy, everybody. Matthew Edward Boldy.
I couldn't think of his middle name. I was going to say Eugene, but I was like, that's not it. I knew it was an E though.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean,
that's gonna be the name of the episode. Matthew Edward Boldy.
Matthew Edward Boldy. That should, you know what? We're gonna launch that and launch it to the moon. He's gonna keep this up too, right? Like, I'm not even worried that it's going to slow down because again, he like Quinn Hughes, he like Brock Faber, had a hell of a long tournament. He went out and had his fun as well. He's obviously not on the media train nationally like Quinn is, so there's a little bit locked in, but he scored that first goal to jump out ahead of Canada, and he had a fantastic Olympic Games. But I don't see it slowing down. It's got to be hard because this last bit of the regular season is also incredibly condensed until the playoffs. But Guerin, in speaking with media on Sunday, had also said there's just this maturity level that Matt Boldy has really found this year, which I think we've seen again in that consistency factor.
Well, that was taking the word out of my mouth. I was going to say I've seen the consistency this year. That was the biggest gripe the last season or two, was we know what he's capable of, but just hasn't been as consistent. Now, there is an avid listener of this podcast who would call me out and say, I would say streaky and not a lack of consistency. And I'm like, aren't those the same thing?
Are they not
They said
synonyms?
no. They said no.
What's the difference?
I remember asking. I don't remember what was said.
I feel, here's how I would break that down. Streaky to me suggests that there's not the deep dips, but for Matt Boldy, there has been those deep dips. Like, he has gone a long time going back to last season. There was a long goal drought for him, which to me would scream inconsistency, versus streaky would be like 4 on, 4 off, 4 on, 4 off, type of situation where it's just a smaller sample, maybe.
I think his reasoning had something to do with he was still doing all of like the little things, right? He was still showing up. He just wasn't getting on the score sheet for those games. And I think that's why he said streaky. He'll probably listen to this and tell me I'm wrong.
Well,
or correct me. I don't know.
Bring him on the podcast. Let's air this. I want to know what people think. I feel like they're the same thing. They mean the same thing.
That's what I thought, but they're apparently not the same thing.
Same thing. I disagree. I love to disagree. With that being said, Kirsten, as we head into trade deadline, with how well Kirill, what?
I don't know. It felt like a fun transition. I don't know. It felt a little abrupt. So I was like, that's kind of silly.
Was it?
I don't know. Felt a little
silly.
Abrupt.
It's, well, we got a lot to talk about here. I'm wearing a Mahtomedi. Sure, we got to get into state high school tournament too.
I've
obviously
already had enough.
No, you haven't. We haven't even clipped the iceberg. It's not even Wednesday yet, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
know. That's why I've said I've already had.
Oh, I know. Streaky. We're not going streaky. We're consistent in this voyage of high school hockey tournament, and our affinity for Mahtomedi Zephyrs goes up. That being said, with what Matt Boldy is contributing, with what Kirill Kaprizov is doing, and with what Quinn Hughes does, faceoffs in center position remain to be a giant problem. And I had asked Bill Guerin that point blank on Sunday too. I said, how do you address that? What do you do? For 25 years, there's never been a top center. Mikko Koivu could win faceoffs. That's great. Joel Eriksson is a very good number 2 center. He's struggling at the dot. The current centers are not doing their job winning faceoffs. Minnesota struggling tremendously again in the circle, which is problematic, as you've seen in Utah, as you saw against the Blues. Like, they're not winning those. How imperative is it to get a number 1 center? Is that the only thing you want by deadline come Friday at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central? What are your thoughts? Do you even bother explore anything else? Because right now your scoring's looking pretty good. And I think Quinn Hughes generates enough offense to maybe encapsulate some of those scoring woes. Right now, I just need a guy that can get in and win faceoffs consistent. Connor McDavid-like, if you will.
It's the tale as old as time. Minnesota Wild need a center. Like, it's exhausting. Maybe if we get a center at the deadline, people will finally stop saying we need a center.
It would be nice. But what do you give up for that?
That is what I scratch my head about every time, because it depends also on who we are targeting. Now, Vincent Trocheck has been the name thrown around, and I'm hesitating when I speak this out loud because I'm sure there's a whole other discussion to come about Mr. Trocheck here. And are you checking your phone to see if anything has happened?
I did before, right? Because I forgot. Starting today, I forgot is when I need to start completely refreshing and being like, oh yeah, things could happen, right?
I feel something's gonna happen tonight or tomorrow, because it always does when we record.
It feels like it'll be early. We might have to release this today. I know I said I was releasing it tomorrow. We might drop it tonight, right?
Why
Maybe.
not?
Stay
I
alert.
don't know. I hate trade deadline because just
Stressful.
you never know when it's gonna happen. And I forgot where I was going because I started talking about Vincent Trocheck. But I mean, yes, just get the wildest center. Get the wildest center. Get Vincent Trocheck at this point. Like I know previously I had said meh. The Olympics changed my mind a little bit more. Now I'm just the anxiety is like, let's just get something done.
2 shout outs on Vincent Trocheck, who again did do very well in the Olympics. I can see obviously the appeal, and I think a lot of other teams are really circling him. So my concern is that there's going to be a very high price from Chris Drury. Now, Bill Guerin and Chris Drury, former teammates, maybe they could go, their old USA ways and chime in. One thing I love that Trocheck today, and speaking with New York media, was very transparent. You don't see a lot of players who address their name being publicly called out or knowing that they're probably going to be the guy to go, right? And I love that Vincent Trocheck was so point blank, like, yep, I want to stay on the East Coast though, or I don't want to go to a West Coast team. I have family here, but I would want to win a cup. And I understand that this is a business and, I'm 32 years old. I have to consider that. So I love how just kind of, again, direct he was in addressing media. The second part that I love about Vincent Trocheck is I need to meet his 7-year-old son, who has savagely ripped him twice now in media, as Vincent has relayed. The first one was on, I think, TNT the other night, where he said his 7-year-old was so excited about watching his dad win at the Olympics because after 4 Nations, his 7-year-old was crying, saying, "Daddy, you never win anything," and told him that. And then in relation to trade deadline, Trocheck had told his family that they would probably be on the market, and his 7-year-old told him, "No, you can go. I still have a hockey team here. I'm not getting traded."
I love it. I think
Who
that's
does
so
it remind
cute.
you of? It's Caden.
Yeah, your own child. I love it.
Michael
Wait,
Russo.
is this his oldest son? How many
I don't
kids
know
does he
how.
have?
I want to say he has a few. I just know it's the 7-year-old, which I love.
I
Like
want to say this kid is a middle child.
probably.
Somebody do the math and figure it out. I would put money that I don't know anything about his family life, but I would put money this kid is a middle child. As a middle child myself, I know the energy.
I know. I love it. I'm so here for it. So mostly there's multiple reasons to bring Vincent Trocheck here, but those are my little sweeteners. Like, let's get that 7-year-old over here. Let's get that family in. Let's lock him down. There's plenty of teams he could play for here.
Wait, one other question about Trocheck, because
Yeah.
yes, he said it's been circulating today that yes, he said he wanted to stay on the East Coast, did not want to go to a West Coast team because family is really important to him, which I get.
Yes.
Weren't there reports just as early as last night of saying he was closing in on something with the Colorado Avalanche? But that would put Colorado on his no trade list, would it not? That's a Western team.
It's a good question.
But then I heard, and I think it was Russo that tweeted this, was that Minnesota was not on his no trade list.
Yep. And Minnesota's very much in the factor. Russo also reporting that Guerin gave his one and only offer. Bill Guerin's just, again, straight shooter. Here's what I'm going to give you. Take it or leave it. Colorado circling the water scares me. Like, Colorado's going to get better. And I, again, asked Guerin this, knowing that you're going to play Dallas and knowing you're going to have to go through Colorado, do you look at what they're doing when it affects your team? And he said, no, we can't play that game. We can't be reactive to what they're going to do, which I think makes complete sense. But also it makes you want it more, right? You don't want Colorado to get this guy, a guy that you've been eyeing and been linked to for months now, a guy that you put on Team USA for a reason. He's exactly what the Minnesota Wild need at this juncture. And again, he's got term too, which I like. He's, he is a little bit older, but it's affordable salary cap hit. I think it's like $5.5 million. We dig that. There's a lot that goes into that. Now, Kirsten, I'm going to go through a list of names that have been linked and have not been linked, but are out there. And I want you to say maybe a yay or nay. Robert Thomas, who we saw last night, return for the St. Louis Blues, score a goal, get an assist after missing a ton of games, but he's only 26 years old. 12 goals, 23 assists this year, 5 more years at 8.125 AAV. Doug Armstrong, the Blues general manager, has said that it's going to be 3 first half of the first round assets. So that would be a prospect, draft pick, and an established young player, which would possibly include like a Danila Yurov and maybe a car, like that's the route you're looking at potentially. Robert Thomas interests you or no? A good center.
Not really. I don't know.
I worry the
think
price is high.
yes, and also St. Louis is fully in the midst of a rebuild, so I don't know what their asking price would be.
And it's a division rival, so you have to consider the division tax that's going to come with that. And again, Robert Thomas is going to be a hot commodity, and I don't know that Billy's going to go all in on what he would need to for that. I think they are very, very confident in Danil Yurov. Now, granted, I didn't think Zibuyan was going to be on the outs either. Now, return was tenfold, and we love it. I'm not complaining about that, but I think that surprised everyone. So I guess if Yurov has to be in there, but then you need that number one center back. You don't get rid of Yurov and not get a top center back with term, I would like to think.
I'm not willing to trade Yurov. If any deal comes up, unless you're, I'm not even going to say it because that's silly of me to say.
But Connor McDavid.
Yeah, unless I'm getting like Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid, which is crazy to me to throw out there.
Yeah.
Namely Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, if you're listening, please come to the Minnesota Wild.
We treat you well. We have good goalies here.
We do. And we don't really eat ketchup here either. So
to each their own.
Well, people dip everything in ranch. He'd have to be more afraid of ranch than ketchup if he came here.
We're bland folk. He'd get along nicely with us.
Basically, I'm just trying to say I'm not willing to trade Yurov for anybody.
Okay. I'm never out on anybody, frankly, right? Like there's very few guys that they can move. And so it's kind of like I would consider it all if the return is good enough. And I think for the most part, Guerin has shown that he knows what he's doing. There's obviously been some questionable moves and decisions that, David Jiricek, we're not panning out, but most of them, I think do well. How about Steven Stamkos from your Nashville Predators? 30 goals, 46 points, 2 more years at an $8 million AAV. That conversation has been heating up. Stamkos has turned it around. He's looked much better as of late.
That was my biggest gripe. And that's why I'm so hesitant. Now, he had a really rough, granted, everybody did. Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, really rough start to start the year in Nashville. He has picked it up as of late. There's no denying that. The stats speak for themselves. He brings in championship experience, veteran presence. I'm not sold on it, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I would bring him in. Honestly, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I'd be okay either way. But again, part of me leans a little bit more towards no. But I also, there's like 3 teams he's willing to be traded to. It's us, it's Dallas, and I forget the third. I think it was Tampa, Dallas, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Were 3 teams he said he would be willing to be moved for. I don't want him going to Dallas, but also I think the most likely situation for him to go is Dallas because they're without Tyler Seguin now for the rest of the year. They made that move official, so they have the transactional space to do it and then some after this season. I don't know. I lean more towards no, but I don't want him going to Dallas either. Go back to Tampa.
You're trying to poach him. Just come here so you don't go to Dallas or go to
honestly, yeah. Like
again, I feel he's a hot commodity. Nashville can bump up that price. Everything
everybody else wants.
You don't. That's why I have a couple names that have maybe been floated around but haven't necessarily been linked to the Minnesota Wild. One name I don't even know if he's necessarily been floated a ton anyway. Shane Wright from Seattle. And here's why. 1 more year left on his ELC. He did have a career high last year, which is still not that impressive, but he's young. There's a lot left to be desired. He was a first-round selection. I don't know if he can meet the expectations that have been thrust upon him. But I like the way he plays. I like his style. He's pretty good at at doing the right things and being in the right position. He's still young, though. He's still green. And now, granted, he'd be cheap for that reason. What do you think about Shane Wright?
I'm intrigued. I think, again, I say no, only for this reason. The Wild and Bill Guerin have made it clear they're in win now mode, that this is their window.
Fair.
I think there's more development to be done with Shane Wright to where I say no.
He's not.
I don't think he's the right fit for right now.
Right. And I guess that's the other question before I get into a couple of these other names. We need to go get that guy, right? That's like whether it's a rental, whether it's got term, it doesn't matter. It's the guy that's going to win this year. It's not necessarily those guys can be picked up in the offseason is kind of your approach too, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Literally the Wild have this year or next year to win.
Yeah.
Because next year, that's the year that you have Quinn Hughes until.
Very true point. Nick Schmaltz out of Utah. We've seen a ton of upside from Nick Schmaltz. I really, again, like what he brings to the table. Let me pull up his
feed me with a little more
page.
information.
Let me give you 30 years old centerman. He pull this up.
Also, if anyone sees me like seemingly yelling at somebody, yes, I'm yelling at my dog. He has tummy troubles and I think he's eating his toys.
Oh boy.
I cannot have him eating his toys.
23 goals, 55 points through 60 games this year. His face-off win percentage is at a decent 46.4, so not great, but still there. Again, he'd be on the cheaper end is also what I'm considering. Nick Schmaltz, not terrible. First round selection out of Chicago. So there's that too.
I think I would be more open to him than other names mentioned.
Like Charlie Coyle.
Schmaltz
is in the final year of a 7-year deal at a 5.85 cap hit, by the way. Charlie Coyle, no.
I'm sorry, no.
I don't disagree. I think most of Minnesota would be out on him. Fantastic human being. I love the person that he is. I think his career is just kind of flaring out. So there's that. Another one that keeps getting brought up to me is Luke Kunin. Luke Kunin was placed on waivers. I think if the Wild had wanted them, they would have just claimed him off of waivers. But any interest in bringing Luke Kunin back at all?
No. I'm sorry. I'm literally like, no. Nick Schmaltz was okay. Yeah, good valid point.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so just assuming that we're getting Trocheck that I've mentally picked a roster spot for him already.
That's, you know what? You're not wrong. They did pick up, speaking of waivers, Minnesota picked up Robbie Fabry off of waivers. St. Louis had placed him there. He's a fourth liner. It is what it is. It's nothing over the top exceptional. It's not going to change the dynamic. He's 30 years old. Was a part of the Blues Cup run. I think he was pretty I wouldn't say instrumental. He contributed. He did his job. He's fine. I don't want to say it's a replacement of Marcus Foligno, who, in case you guys missed it, is on IR with a lower body injury. But maybe it's a part of that. And Guerin, again, going back to Sunday's media availability, had mentioned he doesn't know that they can replace a Marcus Foligno, which wasn't great because it made me feel like he is going to be out longer term than anything.
They're very careful about how they handle these injuries. No, I don't know. I don't like it either. I have a bad feeling about it.
Don't have great feeling about it.
But also, I'm like, when did he do this?
So he said, because I asked John Hines which I don't know. I asked one of them. I think it was Hines. I asked him, I said, was this from the Utah game? And he said, yes. Because my brain thinks that he re-aggravated the thing he had surgery on like a year or two ago. And which isn't great, right? I forget. Why am I blanking on whatever that was? But anyway, I don't love that.
Wasn't it abdominal?
Yeah, it was that. What is that called though? It's like a core muscle. That's what I'm thinking of. It was a core muscle surgery, I believe. Same thing Kirill's had. I mean, a number of guys have had to go through this, but it's Jonas Brodin, who we don't have an update on, but he is skating with the team and solo, which is good. The same thing he just had surgery on as well. So that recovery is long, and I don't know what it means if you re-aggravate it. Sticking on the trade deadline conversation before we switch gears and get a couple of these ad reads in as well. Jesper Velstead, Kirsten, we've talked about his name being thrown out there. And again, huge return value. Philip Gustafsson struggled in Sweden, but didn't necessarily carry it over. He's been fine, I think, in the outings that we've seen him since the Olympic break. Particularly good against the Colorado Avalanche. He was phenomenal. And then let in a few against St. Louis that maybe he'd want back. But that being said, Kirsten, Jesper Velstead, you still in on potentially trading him for that number one center, or no? I think I'm out. I need two good goalies going into playoffs.
I lean more towards that as well. Also, I don't know. I'm not ready to talk about Philip Gustafson yet because the video of him throwing up in the crease lives rent free in my mind right now. I would like to evict that memory from my mind, but that's where we're at right now.
That poor man. Like, you know exactly what he's, because we've all probably been there, right? Like, you know exactly what he's going through in that moment where you're like, I can't get anywhere. There's nothing I can get to. But the fact that he had to do it in his mask too, where it just probably like,
I cannot.
Trigger warning. Sorry, guys. But, oh, yeah. And then he just moves like, sorry, I got to get out of here. Got to go. I love that Matt Boldy didn't hug him when he was giving him the player of the game hat post game either. Probably because he was like,
wouldn't either.
He just puked, dude. That's sick. The Minnesota Wild team is sick. Like, you know, that was my Twitter joke. I thought it was hilarious.
I've had enough with this topic. Moving on. No, I don't want to trade Jesper. I'm out on that. Moving on.
Out on that. Philip Gustafson not only threw up on his own shirt, but he has his own shirt courtesy of sodastick.com. Kirsten, also available at the Hockey Lodge. How much do you love sodastick.com?
Love sodastick.com. Best t-shirts, quirky slogans, just fun. We love fun.
We love fun. We're conveyors of fun. Don't forget, you can go to sodastick.com, pick up your shirts, whether it's for the tourney, whether you want to get your own merch, whether you want to support baseball, football, all of it. It's fantastic. SodaStick, 15% off when you use code Bardown Beauties. You can also check out Pure Hockey as well as the Hockey Lodge for some of those collabs. Again, they've got the Gus Bus. They've got a bunch of stuff teamed up with the Minnesota Wild. Check them out. Then also, I need to remind you guys about North American Banking Company. You know, I never gave too much thought about where I banked, but I made the switch and found North American Banking, and they made it so easy, zero hassle. They offer the best of both worlds, online and mobile banking tools, or what you would expect of a national bank. Phenomenal. I can also go see a person when I need to. Visit any of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Again, switching banks made easy with North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com. That's nabankco.com to learn more, or visit a location near you. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. All right, let's wrap it up. I know we're not going to get to your questions this week. I'm sorry, guys, because again, ton to talk about. Most of them revolved around trades anyway, so we're surviving. We're out here thriving. State hockey tournament. Let's hear it. Who's excited? Boys State High School tournament. The girls wrapped up. That was a ton of fun. Now we're moving on to the bread and butter, if you will, of Minnesota. What's what we put our hat on a lot for this high school turnout. Obviously, the Mahtomedi Zephyrs, baby. They're in it. They're in the Class A tournament starting on Wednesday. They face off against St. Cloud Cathedral. They're the number 4. Cathedral, the number 5, which I hate. I feel like they're always going against Cathedral.
I feel that same exact way, at least in recent years. Cathedral, they've always been a solid program.
Yeah.
At least in my memory of having gone to St. Cloud State for school and then on.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I suppose it was pretty. They got a rabid little fan base up there, too.
They do. They do.
Makes it interesting. You've got Dodge County making an appearance, which is kind of exciting, right? We love to see some newcomers in there. Dodge County crushes it on the girls' side all the time. I love that. So to see the boys kind of catch in, they're at the 8 seed, but they're facing Hibbing Chisholm. Who you got in that one? I
think probably Hibbing. I mean, you know, Dodge County, go Wildcats.
How far? Where is Dodge County? This is probably
It's like Casson Manorville area, which is like 25 minutes east of Rochester.
Okay. So that's not too far. So you're familiar. You've bumped into the Dodge County Wildcats.
I knew and worked with people when I was in high school who had children in that program.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah, probably Hibbing Chisholm. You got Mankato West at the 7 seed against Delano, the number 2. You going Tigers? You going?
Go Delano. I don't like Mankato West. They were in my conference in high school.
Okay.
They were in the Big 9. I think it's still the Big 9. I don't know.
I like it. Northern Lakes at 6, Warroad at number 3. You going Warroad or Northern Lakes? Another newcomer too.
We're going Warroad.
Too good. Although I'm interested to see how Warroad overcomes their goaltending injury. They're going to have to go with their backup now. Their goalie got hurt. So that'll be kind of interesting. But Warroad's going to Warroad. Did you say St. Cloud Cathedral over Mahtomedi?
Yeah. I said Well, I didn't officially pick, but I thought it went without saying. I was picking Cathedral.
I don't know why you would do that. That doesn't sound very nice.
Well, because I genuinely believe that, but also I'm doing it to also spite you because I've had enough.
That's really rude. I can't wait to bust out that. I'm gonna probably have to add some patches onto that Letterman jacket just so people think I was cooler than I was. You know, you think they'd do that if I brought that code in and I was like, "Hey, I have these patches. Can you add them for me?"
I'm calling your husband to tell him to hide that jacket.
He's been trying for years, and I always find it. I always come out. It's warm. It's nice. My parents should be proud that I was getting so much use out of it because she was probably not cheap. Let's move on. I think Mahtomedi wins the whole thing. I'm biased. I don't care. I don't care. It's Mahtomedi or die. That's part of who I am. It's way more fun when I'm obnoxious at this tournament with my jacket. Starting with double A then, which begins on Thursday. You got Gentry Academy at 8 against Minnetonka. I'm not going to say despise. I'm not a fan of Gentry. I'm not a fan because they're like a Shattuck. They're a smaller version of Shattuck. It's guys that are coming in from all over the place to play. And now, yes, we can get into the whole discourse of, well, Hill Murray does that. And this is different. What Gentry does is more like Shattuck than anything. So I just don't care for that. So I'm going to go Minnetonka.
I mean, I was going Minnetonka based just on the vibes anyways.
Yeah. Skippers, they're good. They're really good. The good matchup, fun matchup is always 4 and 5 Thursday evening. Grand Rapids and Rosemont. Who you got? Rosemont with a big emotional upset to advance. Grand Rapids doing their damn thing. Who you got with that one?
Grand Rapids, but I love a good underdog story.
We do. Well, and technically Rosemont's not the underdog, right? But I just think it was, they're again, it's a new face. I love seeing some fresh faces at the tournament.
More representation for the South Metro. Am I right?
A ton of South Metro teams this year, I feel, on both A and double A, which is really fun. Because usually it's just more of a basketball area, right?
Yeah, I think so. But you guys know I'm South Metro down. So I'm going to use that line for everything.
It's applicable in all situations, apparently.
It is. I'm also going to use the word way you used that word. I think you pronounced it wrong.
Applicable?
Applicable.
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 People were coming at you for saying amiss instead of remiss.
They literally mean almost the same thing. I understand. Also, people were really aggressive with that, and I was like,
yeah, they were.
It was so not serious.
It happens all the time. And I'd like to say Connor Hellebuck.
A video about Connor McDavid being afraid of ketchup. It was never that serious.
It was never that serious. Did you hear me? I said Connor Hellebuck, which is exactly how we pronounce it. I worked on it, and we're here. So I'm very proud to say that.
I'm proud of you.
A lot of it. We're going to move on. Lakeville South at 7 against Moorhead 2.
I want to say go South Metro.
Yeah, of course I'm gonna go Spuds. Spuds are good. I feel like I'm picking.
They're gonna win, but go South.
Go South. I got Moorhead winning the whole thing. Andover and Edina 6 and 3.
Andover.
Who you got winning the whole thing?
That's tough. Minnetonka.
Going with the number 1. Who do you have winning the Class A one? South Metro team, probably.
I don't know.
Just say it. It's fine.
I'm not.
You could say so. You could say St. Cloud Cathedral.
I don't know if I believe that though.
It's fair.
I'm gonna go with Cathedral just to spite you though.
Again, rude. We should wager on this. Put your money where your mouth is. Love it. Let's go. Bring it. That's gonna do it for this week's episode. If you want to hear more of Kirsten and I, come to a wild game. We're always there. We love it.
You can't really get away from me there. You really can't.
Really unfortunate for the haters that I'm constantly wearing my Stunna shades and just showing up where they don't want me to be. Yeah. But
you know what? It would be a miss.
Yes.
I'd be amiss to not be.
And when you said it, I was like, I would say remiss, but amiss is a word, so I just let it be. It wasn't a thing.
They are along the similar lines. I don't know. Yes, I would have said remiss. I wasn't thinking. I was spitballing.
We're talking about ketchup.
Happens. You just own a comment. You own whatever. I'm done.
We're done. This episode's done. We will get to your questions next week. The ones that aren't related to the trade. Again, apologies. We had a lot to cram into this episode. As well, shout out to Score, shout out to SodaStick, shout out to North American Banking Company. Stay tuned. We do have a collaboration coming up with Soda Stick, Goons for Good, and Dynamites. We're going to do a little live show crossover with Judd's Hockey Show as well, which is fantastic. Don't forget to follow them and their new YouTube channel. As always, you guys are the best. We will talk to you next week. Go Mahtomedi. Okay, bye.
No, stop. Don't end it like
wait,
that.
It's in. That's how we're ending it. Go Zephs! Near, 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 near.